It's an eye-popping statistic. Black-owned businesses in Omaha have grown by more than 100% in 6 years. Tonight, one owner is sharing how she became a part of that surge. First Alert 6's Ron Johnson has her story.
Okay.
When Jackie Robbins started Rib Shack Smokehouse in 2020, all she had was her smoker, a few recipes, and a lot of faith.
Didn't have a plan, didn't have any startup capital, money, or anything. And the community has supported us through every challenge that we have had.
Robbins and her husband are from St. Louis. They came to Omaha when her husband needed a heart transplant. After his recovery, they now run a successful barbecue restaurant and are proud to be part of a thriving group of business owners.
We see a lot of people are growing and developing in the community. And, it's a great thing.
Between 2017 and 2023, more than 230 black-owned businesses were created here, 51 of those in 2023.
And that is generating $322 million of revenue and sales and nearly 3,000 employees through those businesses.
However, Robbins measures her success in tenacity rather than numbers.
That resilience is there for people to keep going and thrive, and they see, like we share our stories to inspire people, and people, get inspired by us and tell us all the time, and that gives them the inspiration to keep going.
In Omaha, Ron Johnson, First Alert 6.
On Saturday morning, Robbins will be part of a panel of black business owners attending the Black Business Summit in North Omaha. Their goal, double the number of black-owned businesses in Omaha by 2030.